With most of my favorite weekly shonen series ending lately, I've been in search for something fun and new to really sink my teeth into, and one of these new series that I've been absolutely loving lately is the one and only Dandadan, focusing on the main characters of a nerdy boy who initially believes in aliens but not the paranormal, and Momo, the confident granddaughter of a well-known spirit medium who is willing to accept the paranormal but not aliens. The two main characters find themselves entangled into each other's lives as both their worlds are rocked by aliens, ghosts, and all kinds of psychedelic goings on. If you can't tell, this is an incredibly unique and fun Shonen Jump manga, and there's not much out there, especially currently, that matches its boldness and weirdness, so I figured why not review the series? And what better way to catch up than 10 chapters at a time? So that's what I'm going to do today. If that sounds like fun and you're interested in the story of Dandadan before the anime officially debuts a little later, then please by all means follow along as I catch up and review Dandadan 1 through 10. Let's go. As far as chapter 1 goes, for a lot of shonen jumps, they need to immediately grab your attention because there's just so much competition, and Dandadan does not disappoint. We're actually introduced to the character of Momo as she's breaking up with her very first boyfriend, showing us right away that she does not play. She's absolutely a fireball and knows exactly what she wants out of a man. Specifically, she's into the rough and tough guys like her favorite old movie star, Ken Takakura, noting that men like that, stoic, cool, tough, chivalrous, are extinct. Brooding on her failed relationship, she happens to find herself witness to a group of kids bullying a meek bookworm. Putting herself between the bullies and the kid, she pretends to interact with the nerd, stopping their attack and going on her way, only for us to finally be introduced to our other main character, a nerdy boy obsessed with aliens who mistakes her act of kindness as a gesture for something more. Dandadan does something really great right off the bat, and that is the back and forth relationship between Momo and this new character, because right away they go back and forth about the realities of ghosts versus aliens existing, finally challenging each other to a dare of sorts. Momo will go to an abandoned hospital in town that's been designated a UFO hotspot, and the boy, Okarun, will go to a haunted tunnel, and the first to witness something will be the loser, and will have to admit that the other are correct in their beliefs as well as be their servant. You know, typical shonen stuff. The first sign of a backstory we get from the two is from Momo, as she explains she's related to a spirit medium who she disappointed in the past, and now the two are more distant than she would like. Immediately after this heartfelt moment, we get one of the most iconic panels in recent manga history, with Okarun running into the mythic Turbo Granny. Simultaneously, Momo is abducted by a strange and creepy race of aliens who want to make fooly cooly with her. If anybody caught that reference, please leave a like because you're probably old like me. Anyways, back to the manga. What follows can only be described as a fun, weird montage of just great art and really psychedelic happenings. For one, we find out that Momo has latent telepathic paranormal abilities, and Okarun, who has been cursed by Turbo Granny, comes to her rescue. The curse has not only engulfed his body, but has also taken his man bits. The chapter ends with the two absolutely getting away from the strange race of aliens and admitting to each other that the other was right. The final panels of this chapter are given to Okarun as we finally learn his real name, Ken Takakura, and as he thoughtfully hands Momo his clothes, her heart begins to beat. As far as an introduction, the story of Dandadan really hits it out of the park, creating such an effortless yet complex world, somehow combining the worlds of the paranormal and the extraterrestrial. But most importantly, the first chapter sets up two important factors. The first being a desire to learn more about the characters in their world, and effortlessly letting us know that through chaos and psychedelic happenings that's how love starts, you know? Speaking of love, I would love if you left a like or subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying this video. We are trying to grow the channel and bring you more reviews of Dandadan, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabashi, Undead Unluck, and just all those great shonen mangas, so if that sounds good to you, we would love to have you. Anyways, back to the video. Chapter 2, in a sense, is more of a continuation of the first, with Momo immediately freaking out about the revelation of Okarun's real name and the fact that for the first time she might have felt real emotions for someone, as well as the small detail that she now has, you know, paranormal powers and needs to be within arm's reach of Okarun, whom she renames Okarun, refusing to use his actual name because it makes her heart beat. because if she doesn't keep him close, Turbo Granny's curse will take control and he'll go after the nearest schlong. Momo invites Okarun to her family home, which is a temple, and immediately realizes that the talisman set up to prevent evil curses from entering make Okarun combust further, proving the paranormal very much exists in their world and that Momo's beloved grandma may have been telling the truth this whole time. The two are quickly invaded by a giant sumo-like entity demanding that they hand over their organs. Okarun is able to identify it as possibly being the Flatwood monsters by the shape of the entity's cowl, also further establishing a link between paranormal and aliens. What follows is an epic example of beautiful artwork as Momo and Okarun begin to attack the invader, giving us more of the ground rules of Okarun's possession, including how many times he could actually transform, as well as showing us that Momo definitely has some hands on her. Also, we get to see the artistic depths of the mangaka as we get some of the most beautiful and fun panels I've ever seen in a early manga's story. The talent right off the jump is just insane. The two eventually defeat the invader before we cut away to Okarun losing control with Momo passed out on the floor. This was another perfect way of giving us the ground rules of the series without forcing it down our throats. We learn that even if they are aliens, they seem to react to paranormal talismans and can't be defeated using the paranormal. We also learn that even this early in their relationship, Momo and Okarun are incredibly compatible and capable of really amazing feats. What goes on through chapters 3 through 8 is the challenge of Turbo Granny and the small amount of training we see the two main characters go through via the teachings of Momo's grandmother, Seiko, who is very much more deviant and sexy than we were initially led to believe as they start their battle against the evil spirit. We get a really touching glimpse of Granny Seiko's affection and feelings for her granddaughter, and finally we get the long-awaited Turbo Granny challenge. The entire stretch of Momo and Okarun versus Turbo Granny is an amazing exercise of art and skill. The art itself is so fun and out of this world while also maintaining a very creepy vibe about the story. This is something that DaDaDan just excels at. The vibe? Super creepy. The art? Very fun. I don't know how the two mesh so well, but DaDaDan does it. The two eventually best Turbo Granny with Okarun literally chomping down on her, absorbing her full curse inside of his body, where Turbo Granny has no other option but to summon a bound curse, a giant crab. From the Turbo Granny tunnel to the streets, we get a really great chase sequence, which acts as an introduction into Okarun's further newfound abilities and powers, such as being able to propel his legs so fast that he can literally become a helicopter, and the realization that this bound spirit is an amalgamation of several spirits bound together. As we're speeding through this, one of the highlights of chapter 7 has to be when Momo realizes she can use her powers to pull the crab spirit along with her on the train, and we see the giant spirit struggle as they enter her grandmother's territory. Now, why is that important? It's because her grandmother's powers are strongest within her own territory, as she borrows the powers of a local deity. Upon entering their territory, we get the perfect example of how scary she is as the crab instantly burns up. Exercised by Granny Seiko. Chapter 8 is important because it's the first time in DaDaDan that we realize that this story is more than just fun. We get the background of the bound crab spirit. Granny explains to Momo and Okarun as they pay their respects to the spirit at Turbo Granny's tunnel location. We learn that this location has housed a dark history. It's been the home of several murders of young women whose bodies were scattered throughout. We also learn that mediums have long hunted Turbo Granny, and their only link to finding her was that she would visit places where young women were horrifically murdered. They theorize that she was visiting them to console the trapped spirits. This is really important to the overall arc of the story so far because it really is the first time that it shows us that things aren't as black and white as we expected. What we get after is just as important because we see Okarun, Momo, and Granny share their first meal together, and we learn that Okarun got his schlong back. I mean, more importantly, we learn that Momo genuinely sees Okarun as a friend. Chapter 10 starts off with the two of them as they try to continue on with their normal lives. They just went through a lot and they have a lot to process. They are forming this deeper relationship, these deeper bonds, but they're not necessarily ready to act on them. The two happen to kiss each other in the most shonen way possible, accidentally of course, and they go their separate ways. Okarun frantically tries to talk to Momo, who after getting caught kissing him is busy trying to convince everyone they're not dating. You know, classic teen stuff. We get a really petty moment that had me busting up when Okarun accidentally runs into a popular girl in front of Momo who ends up getting jealous. Classic teen stuff. And we find out the popular girl is vapid. Classic teen stuff. And Momo sends a pan flying towards her with her paranormal powers, knocking her straight on her face. Not so classic teen stuff. Either way, when I read this, I was literally laughing out loud and my millennial heart was loving it. The two eventually walk home together where Okarun finally lets them know his rod is back, but his balls are missing, and we get the news that something is inside of him. Overall, I was so surprised with how great this series has been turning out. The world building, the art, they're just so well done that I found myself getting lost in it very quickly. The moments of excellence and creep factor were off the wall. Every chapter was so jam-packed full of odd left turn moments that I know a review like this couldn't really do it justice, so I apologize about that. One of the most enjoyable factors I have to give DaDaDan before we leave though is that the relationship between Momo and Okarun is so naturally written that it really makes these chapters enjoyable and makes it easy to read through. I feel like I am literally watching two people that just met fall in love, and that is such a rare thing for a shonen to get right, as well as the fact that the paranormal and the fun aspects of this manga are so well blended together that it never takes itself too seriously, while it also never feels like the stakes are too low. DaDaDan is a really great read, and like I said, I can't wait to keep going. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.